Hey everyone, Linus here. Today, we're diving into the world of bug hunting with a device that's unbelievably affordable and powerful, the CH341A SPI flash reader. This little guy can be yours for about 10 bucks, and it opens up a world of possibilities. We're talking about extracting firmware from all sorts of electronics, from routers to smart devices. Basically, if it uses NOR flash memory, the CH341A can likely read it. Now, you might be thinking, why would I want to do that? Well, that's what we're going to explore in this video. We'll uncover how the CH341A works its magic, the ethics involved, and I'll even show you how to use it to pull firmware from a real-life router. Before we jump into the nitty-gritty, let's address the ethical elephant in the room. Is it okay to poke around in the digital guts of devices we own? It's a valid question, and the answer isn't always black and white. Some argue that if you own a device, you should have the right to examine its software. After all, it's your data and privacy at stake. Okay, let's break down what we mean by firmware and why it matters. Think of firmware as the brain of your electronics. It's the set of instructions that tell your device how to operate, from your router to your coffee maker. This firmware is stored on a memory chip, often a type called NOR flash. Now, most manufacturers keep their firmware under wraps, considering it proprietary. But what if you want to know exactly what's running on your devices, especially those handling sensitive information like your router? Let's take the example of a typical home Wi-Fi router. It has a main processor or CPU that handles all the data traffic flowing through your network. But the CPU itself doesn't store the code it needs to run. That's where the SPI flash chip comes in. SPI stands for Serial Peripheral Interface, a way for the CPU to communicate with the flash chip and fetch the firmware instructions. Section 3. The role of the CH341A. This is where our little friend, the CH341A, steps into the spotlight. This device acts as a bridge between your computer and the SPI flash chip on your router or other electronics. It essentially speaks the same language as the SPI chip. By connecting the CH341A to the flash chip's pins, usually using a clip, we can intercept and read the data being exchanged. Remember those firmware instructions stored on the chip? The CH341A lets us pull those instructions off, giving us a peek behind the curtain of your device's software. Section 4. The SPI protocol. Now, you might be wondering, how does the CH341A actually talk to the SPI flash chip? It's all about a communication protocol called, you guessed it, SPI. The protocol defines a set of commands, or opcodes, that the CH341A uses to tell the flash chip what to do. Want to read data from a specific memory address on the chip? There's an opcode for that. Want to erase a section of the chip? There's an opcode for that too. The CH341A acts as the conductor, sending these opcodes and receiving data back from the flash chip, all under the control of software running on your computer. Section 1. The right to know. On the flip side, some argue that buying a device doesn't give you free rein to dissect its software. Manufacturers invest time and resources into developing that software, and they have a right to protect their intellectual property. There are copyright laws to consider, and some argue that tinkering with firmware could violate those laws. It's a complex issue with no easy answers. However, when it comes to security research, the lines become a bit more blurred. Many security researchers and enthusiasts believe that responsible bug hunting is crucial for a safer digital world. Think of it like this. If a vulnerability exists in a device's firmware, hackers could exploit it to gain unauthorized access, steal data, or even take control of your device. By responsibly uncovering these vulnerabilities, researchers can alert manufacturers to patch them before malicious actors can exploit them. This benefits everyone, making our devices and data more secure. Now, responsible disclosure is key here. If you do uncover a security flaw, the ethical approach is to report it to the manufacturer, giving them a chance to fix it before publicly disclosing the vulnerability. Many companies even have bug bounty programs, offering rewards to researchers who responsibly report vulnerabilities. This collaborative approach helps create a more secure digital ecosystem for everyone. So, where does the CH341A fit into all of this? This little device can be a powerful tool for good in the hands of responsible researchers. It allows them to analyze firmware, identify potential vulnerabilities, and report them to manufacturers for patching. However, it's crucial to remember that using the CH341A to extract and modify firmware should always be done ethically and legally. Always obtain permission before accessing or modifying devices that aren't your own, and respect copyright laws and intellectual property rights. Alright, let's get our hands dirty and extract some firmware. First things first, you'll need a few tools for this operation. Obviously, you'll need a CH341A programmer. These are super easy to find online and are surprisingly affordable. Next up, you'll need a SOIC clip. This handy little device connects to the pins of the SPI flash chip on your router, allowing the CH341A to communicate with it. Make sure you get a clip that matches the pin layout of your specific chip. You'll also need a computer with the necessary software installed. We'll be using a program called FlashROM to interact with the CH341A and extract the firmware. Don't worry, it's a command line tool, but we'll walk through the steps together. It's pretty straightforward. Now, before we go ripping firmware out of our router, we need to identify the SPI flash chip itself. Open up your router carefully, of course, and take a look at the circuit board. You're looking for a small, rectangular chip, often black or silver with a bunch of tiny pins on one side. There might be some markings on the chip that can help you identify it. Look for a manufacturer name like Winbond, Macronix, or Giga Device, and a model number like W25Q128 or MX25L128. Once you've identified the chip, take note of its pin layout. You'll need to match this with your SOIC clip to ensure a proper connection. With the flash chip identified, we can move on to the next step, and the SOIC clip securely attached, it's time to extract some firmware. This is where the magic happens. Connect the CH341A programmer to your computer using a USB cable. Then, carefully attach the SOIC clip to the pins of the flash chip, making sure each pin lines up correctly. Precision is key here. Now open up your terminal and fire up FlashROM, the software we'll be using. We'll use a simple command to read the contents of the flash chip and save it to a file on your computer. This file will contain all the firmware data. The exact command might vary slightly depending on your chip and operating system, so it's always a good idea to refer to the FlashROM documentation. This ensures accuracy. The process of reading the flash chip might take a few minutes depending on the size of the firmware and the speed of the SPI interface. But once it's done, you'll see a success message on your screen. You'll have a file on your computer containing the raw firmware of your router, ready for analysis or modification. Section 4. Analyzing the firmware. Now comes the fun part. Analyzing the firmware to see what secrets it holds. This is where we get to dive deep into the inner workings of our device. Remember that raw firmware file we extracted? It's not exactly human readable. It looks like a chaotic mix of characters and symbols. It's a jumbled mess of binary code and data. To the untrained eye, it might seem like gibberish. But don't worry, there are tools to help us make sense of it all. These tools can decode the chaos and reveal the structure within. One such tool is called BinWalk. It's a powerful utility designed specifically for analyzing binary files. BinWalk is like a digital detective, able to scan through files and identify hidden file systems, compressed data, and even specific code patterns. It can uncover the hidden layers within the firmware. By running BinWalk on our firmware file, we can start to unpack its contents and see what's inside. This process can reveal a lot about the firmware structure. We might find things like the router's operating system, configuration files, web server code, and even hard-coded passwords. These elements are crucial for understanding the device's functionality. It's like a treasure trove of information that can give us a deeper understanding of how our router works and potentially uncover any security vulnerabilities. This knowledge is essential for ensuring the security and efficiency of our network. Section 1. The CH341A, a gateway to cybersecurity. So, we've seen how the CH341A can be used to extract and analyze firmware, providing us with valuable insights into the inner workings of our devices. But what's the bigger picture here? How does this small device fit into the vast landscape of cybersecurity? This little device, costing less than a fancy coffee, is a gateway to the world of cybersecurity. It opens up a realm of possibilities for those curious enough to explore. It allows us to peek behind the curtain of the devices we use every day and understand how they work on a deeper level, revealing the hidden complexities. In a world where data breaches and cyber attacks are becoming increasingly common, understanding the security of our devices is more important than ever. Knowledge is our first line of defense. The CH341A gives us the power to take control of our own cybersecurity. Rather than blindly trusting manufacturers, it empowers us to be proactive. It's a tool that can be used by hobbyists, security researchers, and even educators to learn about embedded systems, reverse engineering, and the importance of secure coding practices. This device is more than just a tool. It's a key to unlocking a deeper understanding of the digital world. Section 2, Real-World Applications Beyond the Router. Now, the CH341A's usefulness isn't limited to just routers. This versatile device can be used to extract firmware from a wide range of electronics that use SPI flash memory. Think smart home devices, Internet of Things gadgets, even some older smartphones and tablets. This opens up a whole world of possibilities for security researchers and enthusiasts. For example, you could use the CH341A to analyze the firmware of a smart speaker to see how it handles your voice recordings, or investigate the security of a connected security camera. The applications are limited only by your curiosity and the availability of devices with SPI flash memory. The most empowering aspect of the CH341A is the knowledge it unlocks. By learning to use this device and analyze firmware, you're gaining valuable skills in reverse engineering, embedded systems, and cybersecurity. These skills are in high demand in today's job market and can open doors to exciting career opportunities in the tech industry. But beyond the career benefits, there's a certain satisfaction that comes from understanding how things work at a fundamental level. With great power comes great responsibility, as they say. The CH341A is a powerful tool, and it's crucial to use it ethically and responsibly. Always obtain permission before accessing or modifying devices that aren't your own, and respect copyright laws and intellectual property rights. Remember, the goal of ethical hacking and security research is to make the digital world a safer place for everyone. By using tools like the CH341A responsibly, we can contribute to a more secure and trustworthy digital future. So there you have it, the CH341A, a tiny device with enormous potential. Who would have thought that something so affordable could give you a backdoor pass into the world of firmware and embedded systems? We've gone from understanding the basics of firmware and SPI communication to actually extracting and analyzing the code that makes our devices tick. It's like being handed the keys to a secret world, hidden beneath the plastic casing of our everyday electronics. But this journey also highlights a crucial point. The security of our devices is paramount. As our world becomes increasingly interconnected, with smart devices infiltrating every aspect of our lives, the importance of robust firmware security cannot be overstated. The CH341A, in the hands of security researchers and enthusiasts, becomes a tool for good, a way to proactively identify and address vulnerabilities before they can be exploited by those with malicious intent. Now, it's easy to get carried away with the excitement of exploring firmware and uncovering hidden secrets within our devices. But remember, with this newfound knowledge comes responsibility. Always prioritize ethical hacking practices. Respect copyright laws, seek permission before tinkering with devices that aren't yours, and if you find a vulnerability, disclose it responsibly to the manufacturer. The world of cybersecurity is vast and constantly evolving. The CH341A is just one tool, one entry point into this fascinating domain. Don't be afraid to dive deeper, explore other tools, and continue learning. Share your knowledge with others, engage in ethical hacking communities, and contribute to making the digital world a safer place for everyone. Until next time, keep hacking, keep learning, and stay curious.